In the event of an emergency or large-scale disaster, seniors and people with disabilities can become among the most vulnerable, if not prepared. Inclusive emergency preparedness is part of the Connect4Life model of lifelong learning and skills development. It's a topic available for learners of all abilities at the Connect4Life Learning Channel, our sister podcast. More importantly, it's the topic of this Melanie Minute. This special Melanie Minute was recorded live as part of a workshop and presentation to nearly 70 seniors. The event was hosted by Member of Provincial Parliament David Smith for Scarborough Centre and was held at branch number 617 of the Royal Canadian Legion on Warden Avenue in Scarborough. The music you hear for a few seconds at the beginning and at the end of this Melanie Minute was performed live by the Ulster Accordion Band of the Legion branch, several members of whom are in their mid-90s.
I'm going to be calling up Miss Melanie Taddeo. Melanie Taddeo is the founder and CEO of Connect4Life, a Canadian charity dedicated to creating inclusive, accessible opportunities in education, skill development, and employment for people of all abilities. As an educator, speaker, and inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility idea consultant, Melanie has dedicated her career to breaking down barriers and empowering individuals to reach their full potential. As the first legally blind teacher in Ontario, Melanie brings both professional expertise and powerful lived experience to her work. She is a passionate advocate for accessibility and inclusion, working with communities, organizations, and institutions both in Canada and internationally to drive meaningful change. Through her leadership, Connect4Life has developed innovative programs in broadcasting, life skills, job readiness, and wellness, helping individuals build confidence, independence, and pathways to employment. I have to say this because what she does is remarkable, and she's a great supporter of MPP Smith, and she has been quite remarkable in our community and in our riding of Scarborough Centre. Today, Melanie will be bringing her expertise and lived perspective to the important topic of inclusive emergency preparedness, ensuring that people of all abilities are not only considered, but actively included in planning, response, and recovery efforts. Please join me in welcoming Melanie Taddeo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can everybody hear me? Wonderful. So as you heard, I can't see, so I have a favor to ask. Can you please be interactive with me? Because I don't know if you're falling asleep, unless I hear snoring. Thank you. I'm going to ask a question. Who here feels they are prepared for an emergency? Nobody? Wow. Okay, Stephen, how many hands do we have up? Anybody have their hand up? Anybody?
No hands up.
No hands. Well,
One hand.
One hand, okay. Well, okay. Would you be surprised to hear that 9 out of 10 people are not prepared for an emergency situation? So don't feel bad if you didn't put your hand up, because after today, you will be prepared. Are you excited? Yes. All right. So let's first talk about what is an emergency situation. We have different types of emergencies. We have weather emergencies, such as those ice storms, the big snowstorms. We have the heat waves. We have hurricanes. We have flooding. There are so many different weather-related emergencies. Do you know those emergency alerts go to your TV and your phones? Beep, 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 beep. Emergency. Prepare for this. Prepare for that. Do you guys recall that? Yes. So that's one type of emergency. Another one is the power outage. Do you remember when we had the whole power shut down for 5 days? What did you guys do? I was lost, I'll be honest, because all of my life is on my phone. And wow, I was definitely disconnected. Now, perhaps for seniors, that might not be a big deal because they know how to do things without technology. Not that you don't use technology, but you remember what it was like before technology. But then there's another type of emergency, and that's a health emergency. COVID, everybody remember COVID? The pandemic? Yes, that's another emergency. And then finally, a fire. Has anybody ever been involved in having to evacuate for a fire, whether it's in your building or anywhere close by you in your home? Yeah. So these are all emergency situations. And what's the one thing that we have in common with all of these emergency situations? It can be very stressful and scary. Would you agree? Yes. But we're not here to talk about fear or being afraid. We're here to talk about how we, as individuals with different abilities or seniors, can be fully prepared to have confidence in what needs to happen in an emergency situation. And why is this important? Well, people with different abilities or seniors have different considerations that need to be looked at in an emergency situation, such as if we have people who have mobility challenges, who are hard of hearing or deaf, or perhaps have lack of vision like myself, eyesight is a problem. We may not move as quickly in an emergency situation. Perhaps if they have seniors with memory loss, things like that that aren't necessarily considered in the emergency preparedness plans of our communities. So that's why today I want to help you be prepared. Now, don't panic. I'm not going to test you at the end, and you don't have to take notes because in your bag, there is a handout with all of the information I'm going to cover today and even a little bit more. But let's talk about the first step is having a plan. Who likes to plan here? I love to plan. Stephen, a lot of plans? Okay. All right. So when you're creating your emergency preparedness plan, there's a few things you have to ask yourself. Who do I need to contact in an emergency? Let's hear some of my suggestions. Who do you think should be on this contact list? Your children. Yes, absolutely. Anybody else? 911. Okay, excellent. Neighbors. Yes, absolutely. Friends, yes. And any faith organizations or community organizations that you may know. All of these people need to be on your contact list. So your contact list will have a name and a phone number. Why? Because perhaps you may have to reach them in an emergency situation. And in an emergency, you might get a little bit stressed out and forget their phone numbers. So making this contact list is the first step to a plan. The next question you have to ask yourself when creating your plan is, what do I need to do in an emergency situation? And I know that sounds really simplistic, but when you're really stressed out and in panic mode, you forget. So write it down on your plan. First thing, stay calm. Contact somebody and know where you need to go. So the next question is, where will you go in an emergency situation? Obviously, if you are living in your own home, you'll look around your surroundings, or perhaps you're living in a building and maybe your building or residence has a community plan in place of where you will evacuate to. But then once you know where you need to go, you have to know how you're going to get there. Now, I don't know about you, but I use accessible transportation, TransHelp, Wheel-Trans, and they don't work on an on-demand basis. So I need to have somebody I can call on to get me where I need to go. So knowing who you're going to call and how you're going to get where you need to go is essential. So those are a couple of first steps. And as you're also planning this plan, we have other things to consider. You may have medical conditions, take medication. So you need to have a list of your medications, including the dosages that you have in this plan. You also need to have a list of contacts of your medical doctors, pharmacy, perhaps even a dentist, whoever you think is important to be on this contact list and in your plan. Because in an emergency situation, it may not just be you looking at this plan, it may be your family member or support people. So it's important to make sure everything is in this plan. And then once you create your plan, you need to make sure that you share it with those close to you so they know where it is, what's involved, and how you want to be safe. Because this is about choice. It's about you making decisions for yourself before the emergency situation happens. The next step is, after you have a plan, you need to have an emergency preparedness kit. Who has an emergency preparedness kit here?
A few hands.
Yeah? Does anyone know what an emergency preparedness kit is?
Not too many.
Not too many. Okay, perfect. Well, this is a kit that will make sure that you have everything you need on the go quickly. So you don't have to worry about, oh, do I have my phone? Do I have my medication? Do I have my glasses? All of these things. And I'm going to tell you what you need to put in this kit. And this is something for you to consider making so that you're ready for an emergency. They say you should prepare your kit for 72 hours. And you want to make sure that you have enough medication, if you're on medication, as well as clothes, bottled water, and non-perishable food. But if you're going to have canned goods, a little piece of advice, make sure you have a can opener, because if you don't, you're going to be stuck. Okay. Also, they encourage you to have a battery-operated radio. Why do you think that is? You want to make sure that you have a battery, because the power goes out. The batteries will still work, but make sure you have some backup batteries. And if you have a phone or device, make sure you have a backup charging cable. Anything that you need to be with, including mobility aids. Maybe that's your extra batteries for your hearing aids, or extra glasses if you require them, an extra cane, any sort of thing that you're going to need for 72 hours. Putting this into a bag that's easy to grab on the go and put it somewhere safe, and make sure that your support people know where you're keeping your emergency kit. So that's great. We've got the plan and we have the kit. But let's talk a little bit about technology. Who likes technology here?
A few hands.
A few hands? I think we have to realize that this is the day and age. Technology is a part of our life. So it's important for us to definitely utilize technology to our advantage. As we talked about those emergency alerts that come to our TV and phones, well, if the power is not out, you're going to hear those, and it's going to give you directions of where to go. But you want to make sure that you have technology to be able to reach out to people that you need help and let them know where you are. And your plan will already be implementing, because you've already got your contact list. You're calling people. You're letting them know, I am here. I need to get here, and I need help. One thing I didn't know until I did some research is they encourage seniors to have a sign in large, bold print in your home. It says, I require help. And you could put this in your window in an emergency situation. Now, I don't encourage you to do this if you just want to have a friend come over. That's not what we're saying. This is for emergency situations. This is for absolute, if you're looking for a first responder to come and help you, especially if you're in an apartment building and you can't get down because the elevator is not working. You also need to understand that emergencies, as I mentioned, are stressful for everybody, but you're not alone. And this is so important, because you have a community of people here to support you, whether it's in the residence you live in, your family, your neighbors, as we identified all those people. And there are resources in the community. MPP David Smith's office, they have a plan, because the City of Toronto has a plan. Scarborough has a plan. All organizations have an emergency preparedness plan. So find out and reach out to these organizations to find out what their plans are, so that you are also a part of that plan. That way you're not alone, because again, seniors know that sometimes it can be isolating when you live by yourself, and perhaps you may not feel confident in what you're trying to accomplish and making sure that you're safe. So we've talked about technology, we've talked about the plan and the kit, but the biggest thing about what we need to realize is that seniors need to have choice. Seniors need to have a say. So I encourage you to create a little community within your communities. Talk about this with your friends, your caregivers, about what you want in an emergency situation and what you can do to help others in an emergency situation, because you have vast knowledge of emergencies from years before. I look back at just the last couple decades. We've had ice storms, we've had flooding, we've had wildfires, we have had power outages, and even the train derailment way back when in Mississauga. So there are so many emergency situations that we aren't always prepared for. But by taking the information that's in your bag that I've provided you with today, you just have to make a small step. Maybe it's just the contact list. Maybe it's just having a conversation. Maybe it's starting to make a plan or a kit. But whatever you choose to do, want to let you know you're not alone. You can reach out to myself or anybody at Connect4Life to give you advice or guidance. And I'm so pleased to be here with you today. I will be here around to answer any of your questions. And I want to say a big thank you for having me today. And it's such a pleasure. And don't forget, being prepared will take away the fear. So let's all be prepared together, and let's hope for no emergencies. But if we didn't come, we're prepared. Thank you.
Round of applause for Melanie Tadio. Thank you so much, Melanie.
You have been listening to Connect4Life, the podcast. For more information about this program, or any of the channels owned and operated by the Connect4Life Media Network, visit connect4life.ca.